We've been talking about stressed syllables, and now we really need to look at stressed syllables in context. So, let's take two sentences. 2 field mice, 2 old chairs. They look fairly similar, don't they, as phrases? They both start with the number 2, we've got an adjective and we've got a noun. So, 3-syllable phrases. But actually, although they're superficially identical, if we put them into a context, we'll see that that changes. Okay. Think to yourself, no, read them aloud. Read them and see how you'd interpret how those sound in their context. The first one comes from John Beckman's Diary of a Church Mouse, and I think I'd read it as 2 field mice who have no desire to be baptised invade the choir. 2 field mice who have no desire to be baptised invade the choir. There's an underlying iambic meter there. Whereas the second sentence comes from Edward Lear's The Yonghy Bongy Bow, and I'd read that as 2 old chairs and half a candle, 1 old jug without a handle, dum-de-dum-de, dum-de-dum-de. It's an entirely different metrical effect, isn't it? The poem is primarily trochaic. So we've got 2 old chairs and half a candle, 1 old jug without a handle. Very different from the 2 field mice who have no desire to be baptised. On the page, those 2 sentences, those 2 phrases looked almost identical. But once you've put them in a context and read them aloud, and that is fundamental. The poet can only do so much. The reader has to come towards the poet. And one of the things that you can do as a reader to understand what the poet is doing is to read that poem aloud. And poetry really needs to be read aloud to understand the meter. It's not enough to see it on the page. You want to read poetry? Read it aloud.